Hey everyone, David here. Today we're going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to give you a tour of all my houseplants. So right now we're in what I usually refer to as the plant room, where I have these 4 shelves set up, and I built in some lighting underneath the shelves, and they're all connected to timers. So the lights will automatically come on and off every day. And this is where I mostly keep orchids, and I have a few other things. So let's get started and take a look. Over here, we have a terrarium on the top. And in the terrarium, I have Paphiopedilums and dart frogs. And this terrarium is definitely due to have a trimming, especially those vines that are growing along the back are kind of taking over, and my poor Paphiopedilums over here are starting to get shaded out. So I'll need to do something about that and trim these back. So maybe in another video, I'll show trimming back plants and terrariums, because I know one of my other terrariums as well is quite due for having a trimming. And then down here, all of my Christmas cactus very recently bloomed. So we'll see quite a few of them indoors right now that have the flowers that are already dead, but I'm hoping to get another bloom later this year. Here's a Phalaenopsis, and I've noticed on most of the Phalaenopsis, they've started to spike. So on this one right here, you can see the spike starting to form right there. This one has a dark red flower. It's very nice. And then over here, close to the lights, which I'll show you a little peek of what's going on up here. These are just Barina lights, and I chose 2 different colors just so I have a variety of spectrum of lighting under here. This is a Cattleya, which likes higher light, which is why I have it raised up and closer to the light. This one, unfortunately, has never bloomed for me, but I'm hoping one day one of these new growths will develop into a flower. Here's another Phalaenopsis here. You can see the spike is growing up toward the light, and actually quite soon I'm going to have to lower this. And then if an orchid under here, when it reaches blooming, and if it doesn't fit, I'll just move it on top of the shelf and have it on display until they're done blooming, and I'll show you some that are like that now. These are just cuttings of my Meme's Christmas cactus, just so I have backups, and then sometimes I give them away to other people. And then back there I have a cutting of a Hoya macrophylla. I have one outside right now. It's so huge. This is just a small cutting because I think I want to start small. This is one of my Miltisia orchids. I kind of started over with a small cutting. And then in the back corner over here, we'll have a cord that needs to be retied in the back and look a little nicer. This is a Psychopsis orchid, which I have another cutting of coming up soon. A pothos plant. I think this one's called Neon, and it's literally just growing in water. That's how I've had it for quite a long time, and it seems to do fine like that. And then the next shelf, this is a type of fern, which these ferns, I don't know actually what the name is, but they tend to grow in my orchids all by themselves for some reason. And more toward the end, I'll show you my larger version of this, which I've had for years, and talk a little bit more about it. Here's a African violet. Not quite in bloom right now, but looks like there is kind of a flower hidden down there. It's kind of pink with purple splotching. Usually a little bit more purple than that, but we'll see how the new buds develop. Down here are some more earth stars. These are cuttings that I took several months ago. I still have my original earth stars in that really nice fancy pot. And then once again, risen up high, I have another type of Cattleya orchid. This one is also quite small and has never bloomed for me yet. And then another African violet. This one just recently finished flowering. So you unfortunately just missed this one, but it's actually one of my favorites. This is another cutting of the Psychopsis orchid. It's very nice. These are also quite small and have never bloomed for me yet. And then here are a few of my Paphiopedilums. I keep them here in the middle where it's a little bit lower light, and I have a couple blooming right now. They're actually, these two are the same variety. And this is actually the same variety that is in my terrarium as well. This one grows very well for me. And then I recently, well, you know, within this past year or so, got this one, which is new to me and has never bloomed yet. But I'm hoping to see flowers on this one someday. Let's take a look at the next section. Here's just another Phalaenopsis. This one seems like it's pretty much always in bloom, and it has this kind of smaller but super bright pink flowers, which is kind of nice. Here are my air plant seedlings. Unfortunately, I've lost most of them just because I'm having a hard time keeping the humidity at the right level. You know, I put them in the terrarium sometimes and it seems too humid, so then I take them out and I'll go back and forth. But unfortunately, I think I've let them get too dry a few times, but there's still a few in here. We'll see if I can get close to show you. Right there, you can see a seedling. There's a few others around. There's another one right there. So tiny, but hopefully I get at least one that survives. That'd be nice. And then I do have more seeds, so I might try again. And then another Phalaenopsis. This one's also in spike. This one has kind of a peachy apricot color, very large flowers. It's very nice. Can't wait till this one blooms again. And then here's one of my miniature Phalaenopsis. And I'm also just barely seeing a spike start. Let's see if I can show that right there. There's a tiny little spike started. And then actually, I think I see another one on the other side too, if I look down in there. This one has a small yellow flower and it's fragrant, which is kind of nice for a Phalaenopsis because most of them are not fragrant, but this one is. And it's actually something I found at Home Depot, which was kind of nice find there. And then here's another African violet. Let's see, no flowers quite in bloom right now. Looks like you just missed this one too, but I see we have some more buds coming. It is kind of a nice deep red with a yellow or a white edge, which you can kind of see here. And then this is another type of Paphiopedilum, this green-leafed one right here. I generally prefer the mottled leaf varieties of Paphiopedilum versus the plain kind of strap leaf ones like this. But this is one I've just kind of had for years and it's never bloomed, and I've always wanted it to bloom for me just so I can see what it's like. So I've always held on to it, but we'll see how long I'll keep that up. And then also I have a Ludicea discolored jewel orchid. And I just kind of like stuck a stem in here that had broken off one of my other plants, and it rooted like so well in this tree fern fiber. And it also really seems to like these grow lights, and it just, you know, these leaves are huge. So they're like bigger than any of my other jewel orchids that I have. And speaking of, we can move on to show you some of those next, because on the top shelf, I have a couple different jewel orchids. This is actually just a bunch of individually potted ones that I stuck all together, and it looks like it's one thing, but they're actually all individually potted, as you can see here. And I've noticed that all of my jewel orchids are also going to bloom soon. If I look closely kind of at the crown of the jewel orchid, I see that little formation right there, and that's going to be the flower stalk that forms. And for me, my jewel orchids always tend to be blooming in January. So we still have about, more than a month to go before they're blooming. And I'll just show you this one over here real quick. This is my original Ludicea discolor, which basically all of those over there are cuttings from this one. And then I actually have more in another place in the house just because this is one of my favorite plants. So I have quite a few of them. And then up here, I generally just put orchids when they're blooming. Let's see, this yellow one just recently started blooming, and it's a type of Oncidium. I usually call it kind of like a dancing lady style Oncidium, and it had formed this huge stalk. This is like, taller than me right now. So we'll have quite a few flowers on that this winter. And then this one right here is a type of dendrobium. I recently just broke off a stem. These flowers right here are, just ended. They just, died back. So I'll be cutting that off soon. And then this one right here is a little bit fresher. But this has also been blooming for quite a while. It seems this year it's almost been blooming constantly. And then I recently noticed it's putting out a new fresh spike right here. It hasn't even finished the last one yet. So this year, it's just been going and going and going. But it's quite mature at this point, and I think, really the longer that I've had it, the more that it's bloomed. I think when I first got it, it was blooming, maybe once a year, and then as it got older, I got, multiple spikes, and then it started blooming twice a year, and now it seems like it pretty much always wants to be in spike, which is kind of nice. And then here's just another, this is actually the original pothos plant where I got all those cuttings from. So I'll probably move one or only keep one. And then this is an Oncidium type of orchid, and it has 4 bloom stalks coming right now. This was under the lights, but I recently moved up here, so it has room to bloom. And I'm seeing a couple of the spikes have branching. 2 of the spikes have branching on them, and then it looks like the other 2 are just a straight spike that will have flowers on them soon. And then this is a type of calathea, right? I think it's called a rattlesnake plant. I'll put the name on the screen now. Let's see, there's one side left over here. Most of these plants right here are a type of pilea. I believe the variety or cultivar was Pan Am. I actually did recently trim this terrarium back. This pilea actually grew over this entire terrarium, taking up all of the space. But I recently cut it all back, and it's going to start fresh and grow new. I don't have any animals or creatures in here right now, except for, microfauna. But I do plan on moving at least a couple of the dart frogs over here from the other terrarium, since there is space over here, and then that will give everybody more room. This down here is some moss that I had grown in a pot, and then I recently moved it over here. This is the moss that I tried to grow some of the air plants from seed on. If you want to learn more about that, check out my video that I published on that topic. But I do find that moss does grow naturally in a terrarium over time, and all this stuff toward the front is all moss that grew on its own. But with time, this moss will spread and then take over this entire bottom area. And then this terrarium over here, I also don't have any life in it. I actually don't even have any plants in it right now. But you can see on the back wall, try to zoom in a little bit there. I believe that to be a praying mantis egg sac, but I'm not exactly sure. I was just doing some pruning in the yard, and I cut off this dead palm leaf, and I noticed that kind of strange looking sac on it. I believe it's a praying mantis egg sac, like I said, but I'm not really sure. So I decided to put it in here and see what happens. It's already been quite a few weeks and I haven't really noticed any change, but stay tuned for future developments on that. Then we have this shelf down here, which also has a lot of my Christmas cactus, which I brought in for the winter. They just recently flowered, as you can see. They've already passed. If you'd like to learn more about Christmas cactus, check out my other videos on the topic. And then this is another Oncidium type of orchid. It's kind of small, which is nice, but it only blooms quite infrequently for me. It also likes quite a bit of light, which is why I have it up high next to the light. This is a Milticia orchid here, which is in bloom right now, which is this nice dark kind of violet color with that really interesting spotting, very pretty. And then another Cattleya type of orchid back there. And then this kind of red plum colored flower down here is it's a type of Streptocarpus. And then just another Christmas cactus down here, also just finishing blooming. And then Miltoniopsis, I believe this is what this is up here. And we'll end with this giant fern over here. As I mentioned earlier, this is a type of fern that on multiple occasions has started just growing all by itself. I had an orchid growing and I noticed this tiny little fern that started to grow. And then I let it grow for a while and then I decided to try to remove the fern and then I transplant it into a pot. And then over time, the fern just got bigger and bigger and bigger until it's this huge thing here. Just for scale, maybe put my hand next to some of these leaves. So this is quite large and takes up quite a bit of space. But I think that's also something that's nice about this fern is its size. And then another kind of interesting feature of this fern is it has kind of these hairy rhizomes. And then, so in this house, we actually call this plant Mr. Furryfoot. That's his nickname because he has these little furry feet, which is kind of a interesting, unique characteristic of this fern. And it's been in this pot for probably way too long, and I need to transplant it probably pretty soon. But I'm a little bit worried it's going to be really hard to get the rhizomes and roots out of this pot because they seem quite attached and I may need to break this pot. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. And this is the end of my plant room tour. I hope you enjoyed getting a glimpse of my orchid collection and other houseplants. If you found this video inspiring or have any questions about orchids or houseplants, feel free to leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more plant updates. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.